We ended last week with the beginning of an allegory. The allegory included a woman giving birth, the child who is born, and a dragon. John, the author of Revelation, skillfully uses the method of allegory to tell a sweeping story about the cosmic battle between God and the forces of evil in the world, and of God's ultimate victory over evil. Today we continue with another scene in this allegorical tale, the story of a beast rising out of the sea. But as vivid and as fearsome is the image of this beast, the real power in this story belongs to one unseen. And the purpose of the allegorical tale is, once again, to strengthen the resolve of a persecuted church, to help them maintain fidelity to God and resist the frightening powers of the world. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Monday, November 8th, 2021. Here's the next part of the story as John tells it in the first half of Revelation chapter 13. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea, having 10 horns and 7 heads, and on its horns were 10 diadems, and on its heads were blasphemous names. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And the dragon gave it his power and his throne and great authority. One of its heads seemed to have received a death blow, but its mortal wound had been healed. In amazement, the whole earth followed the beast. They worshipped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it?" The beast was given a mouth uttering haughty and blasphemous words, and it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to utter blasphemies against God, blaspheming his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. And it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. It was given authority over every tribe and people and language and nation, and all the inhabitants of the earth will worship it. Everyone whose name has not been written from the foundation of the world in the book of the life of the Lamb that was slaughtered. Let anyone who has an ear listen. If you are to be taken captive, into captivity you go. If you kill with the sword you must be killed. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. Right away, you should notice a couple of things. First, the 42 months during which the beast is allowed to exercise authority equals exactly 3.5 years, or half of the complete number 7. As we've seen, this is not a literal period of time. No, it's more significant than a literal time period. It indicates that the beast is allowed to exercise authority only temporarily. In other words, no matter how powerful the beast appears, its authority is limited. Second, and this is much more subtle, much of the description of the beast's authority is written in the passive voice. The beast was given a mouth uttering haughty and blaspheming words. It was allowed to make war on the saints. It was given authority over every tribe and people and language and nation. In other words, the power exercised by the beast is not its own power. It's a passive tool in the hands of someone else. In this case, the beast's power comes from the dragon, which, as we saw last week, represents Satan himself. But this all begs the question, who is this beast? Well, remember, this is an allegory. And it is an allegory about the situation facing the church at the end of the first century. And like any good allegory, there is some figure or some power that this beast should represent. And what power might John have been referring to? Well, Rome, of course, with its then Emperor Domitian, the Caesar who called upon his subjects to treat him as a god. The claim John is making here is that whatever power Domitian exercises is only temporary. And while Domitian no doubt thought he was the ultimate power, John's further claim is that his power only derives from Satan. And as we read last week, the battle between God and Satan is over. God has won. So by extension, Rome has also already been defeated by God. Rome just doesn't know it yet. The end of the passage, then, tells us all we need to know. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. In other words, while everything seems to point to God's defeat by the powers of this world and by Roman authority, keep the faith, even if it costs you your life, for God will prevail in the end. When we finish this allegory tomorrow, we will confront the dreaded mark of the beast, and we'll cut it down to size. In the meantime, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.